Hello and welcome to ESC Fan TV. Yes, it's the third show of the weekend. We are back and we are previewing the 6 entries in Ireland's Euro Song that's taking place on Friday the 4th of February, which is literally not that far away. Yes, I have to just break it to you, those of you that are following Dry January, Andy, that February is just 2 days away. And on the 4th of Feb, Ireland will pick its song for Eurovision. Joining me, I have a fantastic panel of guests. Obviously, we have the lovely Andy. Evening to you.
Hello.
Nice to see you. We've also got the lovely Georgia from Germany. Hey, Georgia.
Hi, evening all.
Also joining us all the way from Sweden, it's Gustav.
Hi, you got me twice this week. Lucky you.
I know, we feel very, very privileged. Joining us from the Emerald Isle itself, joining us from Ireland, we've got the wonderful Owen.
Cheers! It's really great to be here. It's different, but we see how it goes.
It's great to have you on the show, Owen. And as always, joining me, it's my co-host and person in the chat room, Stuart.
Yeah, good to see you, Tom. It's been a wild weekend. I just feel like I've only just gone to bed after last night's entertainment in Spain. But here we are doing Ireland again. Really excited for tonight's show. 6 good songs. We haven't done an Ireland national final on ESC Fan TV. And given that, hey, Ireland are literally over the water there from us and us friends in the UK, it's nice to finally get to talk about Ireland, about our cousins. And you never know, maybe Ireland will give us some points this year.
I'm sure they give us points most years. We just don't necessarily notice it that much. Ho-hum. Anyway, guys, if you're watching, please don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Do keep the conversation going in on the chat room. And don't forget as well, after the show, take a look at our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are on there. Now, let's kick off tonight's show. The first song we're going to look at is One Night, One Promise. It's by Miles Graham. Miles Graham? I think so. It's all right. Can't read my own notes. Off to a great start already, guys. It's a West End performer. Got a full scholarship to the Arts Educational Schools. His principal's Andrew Lloyd Webber. Nonetheless, would you know? Let's have a listen.
Shadows, ghost like hiding from the bedroom lights. Can't explain this feeling. Rest your head on my heart, it's beating. Hair tossed in eyes. Never wanna close them. Time to be honest. One night, one kiss, one promise.
Do you know what? It's always good when you get the artist of the first song wrong. Patrick O'Sullivan. Do you know what? My notes are a total mess and I'm kind of living through that at this point in time. But do you know what? Let's get Owen's view straight away. Patrick O'Sullivan, is this song going to be the one Ireland sends to Eurovision?
It might be, yeah. It's quite the banger. The 80s are truly coming back. Estonia warned us about this in 2003, but it's finally come home to roost. Yeah, so many songs in the national selections this year that have that kind of 80s vibe. And this one, it's like, reminds me of, do you know that song, You're the Voice, Trying to Understand It? That one from John Farnham from the 80s. Yep. It has that kind of anthemic feel about it. And given that, you know, he's such a good singer as well. He's in the West End. He won a competition called Last Singer Standing recently. I think he's probably going to sell it very well. This is a contender, I think. I do think so, yeah. Personally, I do like this one as well, yeah.
Hey, thanks for that, Owen. Gustav, let's go to you. West End performer, clearly got some fantastic credentials there. Nicky Byrne is also one of the composers of this song. What do you make of it? Is it a hit for you?
It's fine. It's not bad and it's not good. When I listen to it, I kind of like it, but then I forget about it as soon as it ends. So it's fine, but it's not like my favorite.
That's fine. Do you know what? And new viewers to ESC Fan TV should take note. If Gustav says a song is fine, in actual fact, that's relatively high praise on the Gustav scale of review. Because normally we go from fine to fantastic or fine to thank you next. So do you know what? We will take it this evening. Georgia, how could you see this song being staged on Friday night? And what do you think of it?
I have no idea about the staging, but that goes for all the songs. I am very excited to see them because right now, all of them are very similar to me. And the issue is in Germany, I actually can only listen to 3 of them. So all the other ones, which this one is one of them, I actually have to go on YouTube every time. So it's not going to be a song I'll be listening to in the car at the moment, sadly. But I do think if I were able to listen to it a bit more regularly, I would really love it. But at the moment, it's so forgettable. And I only remember the One Night, One Kiss, One Promise. So hoping they somehow put it on German Spotify soon. I don't know what's the issue there. And I hope for good staging.
Do you know what, Georgia? It's a really good point because I was looking on UK Spotify and I think it's a common thing. There's only 3 out of 6 songs available on UK Spotify as well. And this isn't one of them either.
That's because every artist across the world is now exiting Spotify in their droves. There'll be nobody left by next week, Tom.
No, there'll always be that one artist that hangs around because they know that their song views will just go up like that. Andy, One Night, One Kiss, One Promise. Are they promising you a decent song here?
I think it's the best song of the 6. I think the clip that you played is the least impressive part of the song. The lyrics are very thoughtful. It's got a really nice verse, and he's got a really nice voice. He can obviously sing. He's done a lot of theatre, so he'll be fine doing the performance side of it. So I don't think there's going to be any issues with the presentation as long as the staging is done well. And I think this would probably assure Ireland of a place in the final. Not a winner, but it could be a finalist.
And do you know what? I love seeing Ireland in the final. It was a real punch the air moment when Ryan O'Shaughnessy got through with Together in 2018. And it's always lovely to see them there because let's face it, they are the champions of the contest, really, having won it the most times. They've won it 7 times.
And the Brits get to vote in the second semi-final.
Yeah, so I think this could do it. Martin in the chat room says, "Are those 3 available? Brendan, Rachel, and Brooke?" Yes, I do believe they are, Martin. Stu, wrap this up for us. Tell us what the rest of the chat room are saying.
Well, before we get to the chat room, let me tell you that like what Owen said, the 80s, if you ever thought they were coming back, and you listened to Ray Lee's Hero last year and thought, wow, that's a hell of a banger. Maybe, just maybe, some other countries would replicate that in 2022. Boy, you're in for a treat this year because every national final is taking the 80s and Uber-80ing it, if that was even a word. This is absolutely 80s, and it's an inspired 80s rock pop track. I really like it. It does feel to me a bit like Sunlight from 2016. And you know what? If I hadn't have checked who the writers were of this song, I would have guessed that Nicky Byrne had a handle in this somehow. He does, of course. I think this probably would get the most publicity in the UK actually leading up to Eurovision for Ireland, because Nicky is so well known. I think it's a good song, and I wouldn't be disappointed if Ireland were to send this. And I think Ireland could. I think dependent on how Patrick O'Sullivan delivers this, and I think he could deliver a really good stage performance, by the way. And those who watch this show will know the thing I look for the most is about performance and is about storytelling on stage. And I'm convinced Patrick will deliver on the 4th of February. So I give this one a really good rating and think it could do well for Ireland.
Do you know what, Stu? Some comments, I'm just going to have to say this. Some comments, I do wonder how you say with a straight face when you say you look for performance. And for those who don't know, Stu is someone who backs Dolly Style in Melfest every year. And I'm just saying, for someone that says they always look for performance... Now
that is mean. How dare you out me like that in the middle of an Irish show? Melfest is next week, Tom.
I know it is, but some things just need saying. Guys, let's move on to song number 2. Now, Stu and I don't know the order of the songs on Friday night. We've picked our own order, and we've chosen that song number 2 for us tonight is going to be Real Love. Might be a familiar name to people. It's Brendan Murray. Yes, he's back. He was dying to try again. He obviously represented Ireland in 2017, coming 13th in semi-final 2 with 86 points. Since then, he's come 5th in the UK X Factor as well. Let's take a listen and see what he's got to offer this year.
I think of all the times I've wasted, real love with the wrong ones. Your touch, it was right all along. Real love with the wrong ones. Your touch.
A lovely piano-backed ballad there. Andy, as someone I know who is fond of a tinkle on the old ivories yourself, what do you think of Brendan's attempt?
Oh, gosh, it's very, very derivative, isn't it? I mean, I like it, but it's not very original. And something that gets me, and I really shouldn't, he sings ting instead of things, tings, which is very Irish, but
it's almost like he's from Ireland, isn't it, Andy?
Almost like, yeah. But the last Irish person to sing with an Irish accent was Dana, and that was quite a long time ago. Fun fact about Brendan Murray's song in 2017: it was written by James Newman of Eurovision 2021 fame. So it wasn't James Newman's first crack at Eurovision after all. It was his last.
Yeah, well, this is Brendan's actually wrote this song or co-wrote this song.
Yeah.
So this will be, be a good effort. I think, and I'm going to bring up Martin's comment here. It says he was stitched up in 2017 with the staging, to be honest. To be fair, as long as they don't sit him in a hot air balloon or something, or what was it again?
It was.
I think he'll be absolutely fine. But then James Newman had 2 trumpets on stage. It makes you wonder who had a hand in what. See? Gustav, you normally love a ballad. Is this a ballad for you?
This is obviously the best song in the Irish competition this year. Obviously. And I'm not biased. I'm not biased at all. It's not because it's a ballad, and it's not because I had a huge crush on him in 2017. It is because this is the song that I would seek out and listen to.
Fair enough. I like the way you have to defend yourself. I had no idea you had a crush on him.
Elliot is in the chat room. He's going to say something about my taste being wrong or something. You know.
Yeah, but we know about Elliot's music taste, and his record has been broken now anyway. Owen.
Yeah,
it's going to be second time lucky for Brendan.
Oh, sorry, say again.
Do you reckon it's going to be second time lucky for Brendan?
I doubt it. I think as far as the bookmakers are concerned, he's an outsider. Just taking up on what Andy said, he'd be kind of like a big culture. He's from Galway and rural Galway. Like the biggest band from where he's from is a band called the Saw Doctors, who had a few hits back in the 90s, and it's very much kind of very, very Irish country issues, and he's cut from that cloth, so that would be kind of explain the pronunciation of words. Like he would be a ruralite, a kind of country bumpkin type. Anyhow, I'm quite impressed with the song they came up with, given that it was himself and there was only the 2 writers, and he was one of the writers. I didn't realize that he could write a song that good, so I was quite impressed by that. Having said that, it's a bit too much like he wanted to win the X Factor, and this would have been his winner's single. It's too much. It's exactly like a X Factor winning single for me, and I've just heard that kind of song way too many times. Like before I even heard it the first time, I was a bit bored of it, unfortunately. Now, having said that, it's not my least favorite of the bunch, and it's all right. I think it's pretty well crafted. He's done a good job, but I can't see it threatening.
Well, do you know, I just love the comment about it being a potential X Factor winners song. I think
Well,
she's
from
possibly right.
15 years ago, I should say. I should qualify that by saying from 15 years ago.
This is true. This is true. Georgia, are you going to show this song some real love?
No, not at all. I don't like it at all. It is one of the three I could potentially listen to, but I still skip it every time because it's so boring. It goes nowhere. There's something missing towards the end. The only good thing about it is the singer. I do like him. I liked his song in 2017. Yeah, I did like that, but this is just not it. It's so boring. I'm sorry.
It's looking like more of a miss for Brendan as we're going through. Stu, what are the chat rooms saying, first of all?
It's a bit of a miss for Brendan, I'm afraid. However, I must admit, this is the song that he should have sent in 2017 for me, because I think it was a real miss sending Dying to Try. The staging was diabolical. It was such a shame that whoever was creative director for Ireland Eurovision back then, no idea what they were smoking, because it's clearly the wrong stuff. For me, this is a bit of the right stuff. I could see Brendan stood alone, spotlight on, dark backdrop, and delivering a really great vocal and knocking it out of the park with this. I think he has got potentially the best vocal of the six. But I'm hoping for simplicity in staging, Tom. I really don't want to see us do anything too creative with this. That said, you could argue if Ireland were to send this song, it might be considered a bit of a safe option. It's very what we would consider stereotypical Ireland. And actually there's some really diverse and quite modern entries in this year's pack. So whilst I like this, I think it's a great competition song, but I would prefer it to stay in the competition and not qualify.
Fair comment. What you say about Ireland staging as well, it's amazing how, given the fact 2017 you had like Guy in Hot Air Balloon, 2018 you had that absolutely stunning staging that they did for Ryan O'Shaughnessy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just goes to show that when they get it right, because that was a song that wasn't necessarily fancied ahead of the competition, but if you get the staging right, sometimes it can absolutely reap dividends.
I was wondering, actually, I was just you talking about the vocal reminded me of something that I wanted to ask you about him, which is, I think his voice can be Marmite. But the way that it's got that very, very high tone. Some people have made some cruel helium jibes about it, but I think his voice, I know my sister, one of the reasons she doesn't like that song is because she doesn't listen to his voice. She finds it just, I don't know, a bit irritating. Do you think he might have a Marmite kind of voice there, maybe?
I think he did in Dying to Try. I actually think he delivers the right level in this particular entry. I don't think he's having to push himself too much, and I think it's got more chance to actually just stand there and deliver a song in the right way. But it was about gimmick in 2017, was it? It was unnecessary, and it meant you completely ignored what Brendan was doing, i.e. singing, and you were just looking at this daft hot air balloon and thinking, what the hell was that doing there? Who put that there?
Yeah, it was silly.
It was. It was a shame.
I tend to agree with you that I think that his voice, that kind of Marmite quality in it, where it can go too high and sound helium-y, I don't think it's as much as a factor in this song as in Dying to Try. I'd agree with that.
Agreed. Yeah.
All right, good comments, guys. Let's move on to song 3. Yes, this song is the one by Miles Graham. Yeah, we're gonna get out of it. A song he wrote during the first lockdown. He hails from Dublin. Came to fame in the late show in 2018 with a song called "Let It Shine." Let's take a listen.
Faces mixing all different races, calling up faithful, singing, "I we're gonna get out of it. You were gonna get out of it. Are we gonna get out of it? You were gonna get out of
Georgia, I suppose the obvious question is, Are we going to get out of it? Is he going to get out of the final and break through into Eurovision?
I don't know. I could see him potentially go through if the staging works really well for the song, because it's so different. And I think there's real potential for it to be just that different song of the year, that really doesn't compare to any others. But at the same time, I feel like it can really just crash and burn if the staging doesn't work, and the kiddie voice can get a bit annoying in my opinion. So we'll just have to see how they do the staging and how he delivers this live as well.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm picking up on what you just said about the child voice as well, noticing that Elliot and Sean in the chat have mentioned about they're getting vibes of the Annie soundtrack from it as well, and I think that's a fair comment. I think that's kind of like what it reminds me of. I think that could very much play to its strengths. Gustav, what do you think?
Well, I couldn't get my earphones out fast enough. No, thank you, next. Nope, all of those things I usually say. There's nothing I like about this song. I kind of get the same feeling with this song as I got from Daddy Freyr from Iceland, where it's just like there's something in the song that makes me like anti the song right away, and then I just can't let go of that, and I just stay anti forever. But I can't pinpoint what that thing is. It's just something.
Yeah, but if that could be a good sign, because I hate to break it to you, but Daddy Freyr was actually quite popular. So this.
But
this
still,
could be...
it's a thank you next for me.
True. Yeah, I'm just thinking you could be the opposite of my kiss of death that I give to Norwegian entries every week. So it could work. It could work.
Could work.
Let's go to Stu on this one. What do you think of Miles's song?
So I kind of like it in a weird, crazy kind of a way. When I first listened to it, I was a bit like Gustav. I couldn't wait to turn it off. And then I thought, well, let me listen to it again. And actually, it has, Owen was just talking about Marmite vocals. This is a Marmite song. You either love it straight away and go, oh, it's really cool. Like, you might have found with one or two UK entries, I'm thinking Eurovision UK 2006 with Daz Sampson. You first heard that and you thought, some people thought that's great. Other people thought, my God, please don't send that. It's a bit like this particular entry in the sense that I could see Ireland sending this because it's a bit of fun. It's very repetitive. It's almost annoyingly repetitive, but in a good way. Yeah, but that said, if I was trapped in a lift and this was the only song playing, I'd be doing some very dangerous things to myself, let me tell you, Tom.
Oh dear. Andy, would you want to be in the same lift at that point in time?
No, the song does nothing for me whatsoever. It has the advantage of being completely different, and 4 of these songs sound like they could have been written and produced by the same people. So this one really does stand out. But oh God, it is repetitive. What are they going to do on stage for 3 minutes when it just goes round in a 20-second loop? So that's my concern. But how do you stage a song that is quite so repetitive?
I do wonder, actually, and I'm thinking about this because they've said about Annie vibes, but I also wonder, having seen the stage performance of Matilda up in the West End, if they could do some staging similar to that, because I'm just thinking there's a couple of songs there in Matilda that are quite repetitive, but you don't actually get that feeling from them.
So the one thing they can't do, which they should do with a song like this, is to have children on stage. That's not open to them. So there might be kids on the screen in behind them, but you can't replicate those children's voices.
It didn't stop Daz Sampson, however, did it?
I was going to say Daz Sampson managed to do it.
Yeah, well, that was a whole different kettle of fish, wasn't it?
Maybe. Owen, wrap this one up for us.
Well, I thought I might have been one of the more negative speakers on this, but I won't be, as it turns out. I loved adored UK 2006. I thought was one of the best ones you've done this millennium so far. Perhaps a controversial, rare opinion, but I just thought it was a killer tune. The staging wasn't the best, which was a pity because I really wanted it to do well. This one, I see this as a very different type of song to that. It's more so has these chilled out, laid back kind of summery vibes. Was there a song that went something like "What's the Meaning of Life" or something that was similar? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. When I first heard the song, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was repetitive and annoying, and I still, my intellect tells me not to like it. But unfortunately, sometimes it comes on the playlist, and without even thinking about it, I'm enjoying it, despite myself. It's kind of like that. It kind of gets into you without you wanting it to. So it's done that to me a few times. But my head wants to not like it. But there's something nice about it. And as Andy said, it's going to stand out because it's so different from everything else in the final. And that might make a difference for when televotes come in. Say if someone's likes both the 80 songs will have their vote split. This one will have its own little niche. So that might help it do better than it should. But I really can't see it winning. It just doesn't shout out winner to me, but who knows?
Famous last words. Do you know what? We had
Yeah.
a very similar conversation on Thursday night about Hammer of Thor over in Norway for its heat.
Yeah,
which
that's a
declared
fun
to be,
song.
well, we declared it to be an earworm, got in your head, bit
Yeah.
irritating, bit repetitive, and somehow it managed to win its heat. So you never know. Guys, let's move on. We've hit the halfway mark, guys, and people that are watching at home, thank you very much for contributing in the chat. Keep your comments coming through. Most of all, we like to keep Stu busy. The next song we're going to look at, it's Ashes for Yesterday by Janet Grogan. Now, she's actually got some Eurovision pedigree. She was a backing vocalist for Nicky Byrne when he was singing In the Sunlight in 2016. Also backing vocalist for Ryan O'Shaughnessy with Together in 2018 as well. Plus, made it to Sharon Osbourne's house in the X Factor in 2016, which you may or may not know. Let's take a listen.
We're lighting a fire in ashes of yesterday because we are fighters with bruises to erase. Don't let nobody put us down. Our voices here to stay because we are fighters. We're lighting a fire in ashes of yesterday.
Okay, panel, this may be controversial, but I get some kind of like Katy Perry Raw vibes when I listen to the chorus of this song. Andy, are you kind of picking that up as well?
No, the vibes I get are the Irish song from last year combined with the British song from last year in this. I think she's probably got quite a good singer, a nice voice, but I don't think this type of feel-good anthem works in Eurovision. It's been tried a few times and it never seems to really grab anybody. So, not for me.
Oh, to be fair, Andy, it normally grabs me. I don't normally pick it out as a winner, but, you know, I normally at least give it a vote or two, you know. Owen, are you picking out the Katy Perry vibes, or is it just me? I have
This
to
one I can't really get into, unfortunately. There's something about it that I can't get past, and that is, it's too much like the Swedish song from 2020, the one by the Mamas, Move. And the thing about it is, I think it may have been written with that in mind. It may have been a conscious decision to kind of emulate that particular song. It wouldn't surprise me if it was. And it's just too like it. So, and I wasn't a fan of that song, and this one being so like it, I can't really connect with it. No, and I'm not a fan. I have to say. Although I'm a fan of the singer, I think she's very good, and interestingly, her voice is the way it is because there was like complications in her birth. that made that damaged her vocal cords and made her voice raspy. And she sees it as a blessing in disguise because it gave her the career she's had. It's interesting. But I'm not a fan of this one.
I'll be honest, having listened to you and Andy speak, I'm actually mentally kind of like just playing the mamas in my head just to see if I can pinpoint what everyone else is talking about, because I think I must have missed that. Georgia, does this have mamas vibes to it?
Totally. I mean, it's basically the mamas called. They want their song back. From the first listen, all I could think was like, oh, is this the mamas, or like one of them at least? No, it isn't, because they would sing it a lot better. I don't like it. Well, it's not I don't like it. I just keep forgetting it's there. So when I'll watch the show, I'll be like, oh, what's the sixth one? And then she'll come on stage and I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, nice. But it's not a winner for me, and I'll probably forget all about it once the show's over. So.
Aww, sad times. Gustav, I mean, obviously, being from Sweden, we know how much you loved the Mamas back in 2020.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that you all know how I feel about the Mamas, but Tom might be confusing me with someone else.
No, trust me, there was no confusion. It's all in the delivery.
Let's be positive and say that I think she will absolutely slay this vocally. I think she will do a stellar vocal performance, but that's only the only positive thing I have to say about it. I was done with this kind of music after the Mamas' first attempt in Melodifestivalen. So I'm pretty done with this as well. And the lyrics of this they are absolutely dreadful. I'm like, yeah, they could have done better with the lyrics.
Thanks for that, Gustav. Stu, it's up to you to round this up for us.
So far we've had 5 no's. I mean, first of all, can I just say, this song, if the UK was having a national final, would 100% be in it. This would definitely be one of our entries. There's no question. In fact, this sounds like a UK entry, and I think that's probably to Andy's point, that we've had in every UK national final, when we've had one, because we don't obviously get that luxury anymore, as far back as I can remember. It's anthemic, it's uplifting, it's a good gospel pop song. But I agree with the panel. This is the type of song we've heard a ton of times before. It's the type of song that even when the Mamas did it in 2020, we'd heard a ton of times before. The difference was it was the Mamas. And so I'm absolutely convinced Janet's going to knock it out of the park vocally, and I'm sure she'll deliver in terms of storytelling on stage. But and I think this could very well be the song that Ireland sends for me, because it's the type of song, if it's the 6th of the night, this could go big, especially if she delivers it on stage. But it would be absolutely a safe entry for Ireland, and one that I would immediately start to question whether it could qualify from the semi-final. I think we're going to come to them in a minute, but I think there are some songs in tonight which are a lot more commercially ready than this particular track.
I think you have a point in some ways, though, Steve, because I think if it does win the final on Friday night, then I think it's got a good chance of getting through the semi-final, because I think she will have elevated it as such that it will get through, if that makes sense. I think that gives an inkling of the challenge we think that she's got to overcome in the first place, though.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? There we go. Guys, let's move on. Song number 5, That's Rich, Brooke, Scullion. Interestingly, it's a finalist on The Voice UK in 2020. Also has been a part of BBC Introducing. It's almost like if the UK was doing a national final, she'd be a contestant in it, especially given the fact that Molly, who sung Children of the Universe, the UK, came from BBC Introducing in 2014. Let's take a listen.
Hey, stupid, that's rich. that it's coming from you, and that's rich. Well, I got nothing to prove, that's rich. You think I dress up for you, and that's rich. Bye bye fool. Bye bye fool.
I'm expecting some rich comments from my panel on this one. I'm noticing everyone's smiling at it. So let's go to Owen first.
That's very sassy, but I am an old contrary man, and I'm not good at this modern pop music at all. So I can see that it's the kind of thing that the young people might like, but I myself am not a massive fan of this song. It's kind of one-noted and kind of rough, and I get the kind of Blondie vibes in it, but I'm not a massive Blondie fan either. So for me personally, I don't think, like, I wouldn't be a massive fan of this song. But I do see its potential. Like, it's a massive contender. It's very modern as well, so it has a lot going for it. And the performer as well, obviously she's tried and tested. She got 4 chairs turned on The Voice, and she's full of confidence. And I've seen her perform it as well. She's able to sell that song, so it's a contender.
Right. Do you know what, Owen? If I didn't know any better, I'd suggest your very initial comments, like your first couple of sentences there.
Yeah.
I'd suggest you were channeling the late great Terry Wogan.
Yeah, down with that sort of thing. Anyway.
Absolutely brilliant. Let's go to Georgia. Something modern, something contemporary. I think by far probably one of the better music videos of the lot. Is this getting some rich praise from you?
It is, yes. This is one of the songs I like the most. It reminds me a bit of Dua Lipa. It's very modern, but I agree it's quite young, and I can already see myself on the couch, like really enjoying it while my parents sit next to me and are completely bored. So I don't know. I do want her to win. I do want her to see Intervene, but at the same time, I worry that it might be a bit too young and modern for the general crowd. But I personally really like it. I've been listening to it nonstop pretty much.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you're right there. Although the one thing I would say is that I think Eurovision is slowly becoming, well, I say slowly, I think at a pace becoming more and more modern, and attracting younger and younger voters. So I think, I do wonder, is this a case of too modern, or is this actually a case of just right? Could it be? Gustav, is this just right for you?
I don't like this song.
I knew it was coming. Can I just share with you just before you give your review? This is what Thomas has said in the chat. Which I just think...
Well, let me say it for you, Thomas. Thank you. Next. Everything I said about your loss earlier in the week, I can apply for this song. It sounds like every other female sung pop song that you hear right now, and there is absolutely nothing original about it. And because of that, there's nothing to like keep me interested. I listened to like 30 seconds of this song and I was like, yeah, that's that song, and then I was done. It might be harsh, but yeah.
Well, that's rich. So, Andy, let's come to you.
It doesn't sound like a song that would emanate from Ireland to me for some reason in a Eurovision context. It's the sort of thing that I would expect maybe Azerbaijan to enter or Croatia. I don't know why that is. It just, to me, it sounds like it doesn't belong in an Irish entry for Eurovision. But that said, I think it could win. And if they were to stage it with 5 girls playing proper instruments, guitars and drums, and make it quite sassy, I think it could do quite well. Because the only other way I can think of staging it is to do a dance routine in the style that we saw from Spain. And does RTE have the budget or the will to do that? I don't know.
It's true. I think you've got a good point. I think if it was to win, I think it could do better than their last best placing.
It's going to stand a very good
2018.
chance in impressing people if the rumor is true that the show is going to be staged from the roof of the TV studios, because I think that would suit this song very well.
Yeah. Do you know what? Absolutely, down to a T. And this has to be a favourite to win the whole thing, surely. Stu, are you appreciative of this song?
I'm just reflecting on RTE potentially doing their show from the roof. I mean, what if it's raining? It's not very great weather at the moment. That could be a massive disaster incoming for RTE. Look, I think this is, in my opinion, the best song I've heard from Ireland in a very, very long time. It's cool. It's modern. It's in the shade of the Veronicas, very, very successful pop group from Australia. It's very similar to Icona Pop from Sweden. There's blondie vibes. I mean, it's definitely got an 80s cinch or cutting right the way through its veins. Love the 80s synthesizer. Needs killer staging. Now, I mean, we know that Brooke is a phenomenal singer. We don't know whether she's a phenomenal performer because the voice is very different to delivering this kind of song. So I'm looking for a really killer stage performance for this song. And then when I've seen that, I will absolutely be convinced that this could do really well for Ireland in 2022. The song itself, one of the best I've heard out of all the pre-selections so far. It's just a case of whether it really comes right on the night, and time will tell. We're going to find out Friday.
We are indeed, and I've checked the weather forecast. No need to worry. Rain is not forecast in Dublin, so I think they could be good to be on the roof. They might just need their thermals. Guys, we are on to the final song. Yes, have we saved the best one for last? We'll let you decide. It's I'm Loving Me by Rachel Goode. She's a classically trained soprano, don't you know? I'm not sure you'd guess by taking a listen to this.
There's no turning back. Feel the wind in my hair. Love is still there, but I'm loving me. I am ready to fly, reach for the sky. Finally, I'm free, loving me.
Yes, the 80s are indeed coming back. And I think given the volume of 80s-esque entries, it's only right that we look at an 80s song last. Let's go to someone who remembers the 80s very well. Let's go to Andy first. What do you make of this one?
Well, fuck you. No, I have to say, before the show started, I did point out that the first national song contest from Ireland that I experienced was 45 years ago in 1977. So I predate the 80s. And this isn't an 80s song at all. Charlotte Perrelli wants a song back, or possibly Hedda Björk. I mean, it's so Swedish. It's been probably passed around Melody Festival for years. And the lyrics are execrable. Absolute shite. But I like it nonetheless. Reminds me of What About My Dreams, or what about the Katie Wolf song from 2000.
Yeah, what about My Dreams?
Yeah.
I was going to say, it won't come as any surprise to you, Andy, to know that it was Thomas Carlson was one of the writers on this song, as was Johan Maritson, Anna Eng, Joachim Afgrenius. I've probably not pronounced that one right. Apologies.
I think sending a song that is so Schlager, Swedish Schlager, is a bad move for Ireland. I think it'll count against them.
Yeah, but Owen, could we develop?
In spite of everything, it's my guilty pleasure.
I was going to say, let's go to Owen. I mean, could we cultivate such a thing as Irish Schlager?
I have to agree with Andy that I just don't think it would come across as genuine. I don't think people would buy into it, the whole idea of Ireland sending a song that was so much like a Melody Festival song. It's just not us. However, I love this song, even though it's, I don't know, maybe terrible in some ways. The lyrics mightn't be the best, but I would be confirmed Sweetophile. I've been to the Melody Festival, like, I don't know, around 10 times since 2003. So I love all that, and I love like the real schlagery stuff like this, the kind of stuff that would have been dominant in the Melody Festival from 2003 2007, that kind of era. So this is my favorite of the 6, actually, all things considered. So yeah, I really like it, but I think it would be very embarrassing if we sent it. It's not the right direction for Ireland to go in. Really, it's like, I mean, there is, I don't want to get all like nationalistic on you, but there is kind of an element that some people think, and I'm one of them, where the Eurovision, you're kind of shown your own songs, you know. So if we pick a song that's pretty much just written by Swedish people, it's like, well, Sweden already have a song in, they don't need two, you know. I'd kind of have that sort of a viewpoint on it in a way. So yeah, that'd be my take on it.
Let's bring Gustav in on this. Gustav, do you think this is actually one of the problems with some of these national finals these days? Is that basically countries are trying to have songs that emulate stuff that we would see in Melody Festivalen without actually providing their own unique national stamp on them?
No, everyone should be like Sweden. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely, I think every country should try to have at least something that is a resemblance of their country. With that said, I think this is absolutely terrible, and I love it. You know, I can't. It's the Swede in me. I cannot not love this, even though I can see all the bad things about it. I cannot not love it.
Case proven. Case proven in point. Georgia, what do you make of this one?
See, I keep going back and forth on this. Sometimes I listen to it and I absolutely love it for all the already mentioned reasons. It's such a fun song. The lyrics aren't great, but I can understand what she's trying to tell us, and I think it's a nice message. And then I listen to the song and I'm like, this is so old and dated, and I just think there are better options. I don't know, like, ask me again tomorrow and I'll love it and really want it to win, but today it's not the song for me.
Andy's just put into our own little private chat that these songwriters wrote the Polish song The Ride last year, which I think, do you know what, I can kind of pick up those vibes from it when I think
look
about
how well
it.
that did.
It's very popular among certain groups of people, though. You can't deny that. There is a certain contingent that
Wearing plaid shirts and bald heads.
Basically. I'm not entirely sure. Stu, wrap this one up for us.
Yeah, so quite similar to everybody else. This is the song I play the most, and it's because it is my guilty pleasure. It's not very often nowadays that you hear Schlager in a Eurovision national final in any country. Let alone Sweden. Sweden barely has any Schlager these days, and this is quite surprising to see Ireland deliver a Schlager type number. But then you hear that it's written by the writers of The Ride for Poland 2021, and then nobody is shocked anywhere because it sounds almost identical to that song. And I do wonder whether Rachel Goode is a bona fide paid up member of the Charlotte Pirelli fan club in Ireland, because, you know, there's definite hero vibes cutting through this. Absolutely no question. It's camp, Tom. I absolutely effing love it.
Oh, I've missed your enthusiasm over the close season. I really have. Guys, we are almost at the end I only have one more question for the panel this evening, and also the same question for you guys in the chat room as well. There are 6 songs to pick from. Which song would you like to see? Not what do you think will happen, but what would you like to see represent Ireland in this year's Eurovision Song Contest? And I'm going to start with Andy.
Okay, I don't love any of these songs. I have to be absolutely honest about it. So the one that I would send is the one with the standout performance, and I don't know what that's going to be. I'm hoping there will be one.
That's a cop out.
No, I think it will make a huge difference. But not there isn't a Eurovision winning song amongst these lot. They're all going to be borderline qualifiers, just based on the song. But the right singer can lift the song by quite a few places. So that's what I'm looking for, but I don't know which is going to be the right singer.
Interesting.
Brendan Murray, if you pushed me, I would say, is the most likely winner.
Okay, Andy's going for Brendan. Georgia, what song are you going for?
Oh, this is going to be a bit awkward because I was going to say I'm fine with everyone except Brendan Murray. So I think they're all okay. I would really like to see That's Rich to go through just for that modern vibe and yeah. But I mean, I'd be okay with all the other 4 except Brendan. I'm sorry. Maybe in another couple years she can come back and have a good song and good staging.
Very true. Very
when
true.
his voice is broken.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry. Couldn't resist.
At that rate, he could end up dying trying. Right, Gustav, one song.
Well, I have to stick true to my brand, so I'm going to say Brendan.
So far, we're 2-1 for Brendan. Owen, what do you think?
With the caveat that you have to agree with Andy, because until you see them perform, you don't know. You know, I mean, it'll depend on what the vocal is like, whether they can sell the song, do they look awkward. That'll make a difference. But still, with that caveat in mind, the one that I like the best is the Rachel Goode song, but it's not my winner. I wouldn't like to see that win. I think the Patrick O'Sullivan song would be overall my pick now, of a song I like and a song that I'd like to see do well, and I think would represent us well. So,
No, fair comment. Stu, over to you. And what's the feeling in the chat room?
So the chat room, it's very mixed. We've got one for Janet Grogan here, Brooke, with That's Rich, but the outstanding winner at the moment is One Night, One Kiss, One Promise. There's quite a few votes for that one. It's quite mixed. I think One Night, One Kiss, One Promise by Patrick O'Sullivan's the winner in the chat room. However, I think whilst I like that, I think that could again be a bit safe for Ireland. If I was Irish, I would be plumbing for That's Rich by Brooke. I think it's probably the most commercial song of the lot, and it's the most modern song of the lot. And in a year where we all want to party and have fun again with each other, that one could be outstanding on a Eurovision stage, and she will deliver it. I'm absolutely convinced of it. What I will look for, though, on Friday is performance over vocal, because performance is more important than vocal these days at Eurovision, especially because you don't even need to sing well at Eurovision anymore. Who knew?
This is true. I'm going to vote for Brooke. I think That's Rich would make a fantastic Irish Eurovision entry. I think it could get them their best placing, certainly of the decade. Maybe even better than Jedward. There we go. I did do some calculations, as Stu was putting the comments up. Between the people that have voted in on the chat room and everything, I've put it that we've got 1 vote for Janet, 2 votes for Brendan, 4 votes for One Night, One Kiss, One Promise, and 5 votes for Brooke. Basically tells us it's anyone's guess.
Exactly.
guys, I would like to thank my panel this evening for an absolutely fantastic show. Big thanks to Andy.
Thank you very much. And see you Friday before the Irish final. We're going to be talking about the Italian songs on ESC Fan TV at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock CET.
Correct.
San Remo is beckoning.
Remo.
Big thanks to Georgia.
Thank you. It was nice being here again.
Big thanks to Gustav.
Thank you, everyone. I think I was nicer than I thought I would be. So, yay me.
Fair comment. Big thanks to Owen.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was my first time doing anything like this, and it was really enjoyable. That hour just flew by. So thanks very much to all of you.
Hey, and it was fantastic having you here as well, Owen. And as always, big thanks to my co-host, Stu.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks to you. And, Owen, you're very welcome back anytime, as in everybody that comes on the show. Guys, we've had nearly 200 or so of you in the chat, or watching live, maybe not so much in the chat room. Give us a like, leave us a comment, tell us what you thought of tonight's show, and follow us all over social media. We are literally everywhere. We got a lot of content coming up for you. Thursday night, we're back to Melody Grand Prix. Friday night, it's San Remo. Then you've got a lot of Eurovision coming at you. Stay tuned on ESC Fan TV. We're going to have lots of fun.
Yes. Unfortunately, I won't be back on Thursday night, which is a shame because, let's face it, Give That Wolf a Banana is being previewed. I love that song. Anyway, guys, we will be back on Thursday at 8. Stay tuned to the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, because Andy will post some fantastic news about our San Remo shows as well, I am sure. And it's bye for now. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.